So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and this is my post-fight reaction to last night's fight between Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. Now before I get into the controversial talking points between in this fight, I'd like to say obviously congratulations goes out to Oleksandr Usyk. Obviously he retains his belts, he retains his status as pretty much I think the best heavyweight today at this present moment in time, and he done it in good fashion. Um, and again, it was his first pretty much fight where he's putting on a pretty much a performance and a a show in front of his home fans. Obviously, a lot of the Ukrainians have obviously fled over to Poland, so this fight was, I think it was like 40,000 stadium, and most of the crowd, I'd probably say 90-95%, probably more, were all full of Ukrainians and Polish fans there to pretty much see the one and only Oleksandr Usyk. Now, this fight started off quite at a fairly decent pace. Obviously, Daniel Dubois came out from round one and he tried to stick it on Usyk. He tried to have like a fairly high pace um, start to the fight, and he was throwing some good shots and he was landing a few as well. And he wasn't deterred, you know what I mean, by the man who was on the opposite side of him, by Usyk. He wasn't deterred by him and he took the fight to Usyk, but Usyk stayed patient, you know what I mean, in the earlier rounds and was composed. And again, his footwork and his movement was brilliant to see. And I think that's at times which kind of put Daniel Dubois off his game. Daniel was prepared to get caught at times to pretty much land his own shots. But from my point of view, how I was seeing the earlier rounds, it was skill versus, you know what I mean, just looking for that big punch. And Oleksandr Usyk, it was just class from the, you know what I mean, in the earlier rounds. However, I think it was round five where it was that controversial talking point where Daniel Dubois landed like an uppercut hook to Alexander's body. The referee at the time obviously deemed it a low blow, and he gave Oleksandr Usyk a long time to recover, the full 5 minutes. Where at times you could hear, you know what I mean, from the obviously from the referee in the ring, and from Oleksandr Usyk himself, saying that Oleksandr Usyk was saying, "Look, I'm ready, I'm ready," and the referee was like, "No, no, I'm going to give you another minute. I'm going to make sure that you know what I mean, you fully recover." Which I thought felt was quite weird, because if a fighter is saying to you that he's ready to fight, you let him fight. He doesn't need another minute. But the referee gave him that extra minute to kind of recover, um, and he used it, and he came back from the fifth round onwards, and you know what I mean, he punished Daniel Dubois, put him down in the eighth and stopped him in the ninth. But that talking point, that body shot, initially, do you know what I mean? I'd probably say it was literally on the belt line. However, you know what I mean, Alexander Usyk's shorts were quite high at the time, and you could say that because it was that high, that realistically it should be a legal shot. But you've heard there's a lot of obviously pros coming out and saying that, some of them are saying, oh yeah, it was a good shot, and some of them are saying that no, it was a low shot. It's quite controversial, but it was just sad to see because it was a great shot that landed. I don't think it was a low blow to the balls, because if it was, with that much power that Daniel threw, Alexander Usyk would not have got up at all. And you know what I mean, it was, you know what I mean, if it was low, it was probably literally just below, it was probably on line or just below the belly button, but it wasn't low towards the groin. It didn't catch him in the balls. It didn't catch him on the tings. You know what I mean? So it was an interesting one there. But it's just such a shame because, you know what I mean. As he landed that and Usyk took it, he wasn't getting up. Do you know what I mean? And if the shot was deemed legal, then we would be sitting here now and talking about how Daniel Dubois is the new champion, and you know what I mean, he's going to reign over the division, etc., etc. But it wasn't to be, and that pretty much made Usyk mad and pissed off. You know what I mean? Because from that point onwards, he took the fight to Daniel Dubois. He picked up the pace. His movement was more. His jabs. His, you know what I mean. He was throwing combination punches, and he was in and out of range. And yes, Daniel Dubois caught him a few times with a good couple of shots, but for every shot that Daniel Dubois caught Usyk with, Usyk caught him with 3 or 4 more. And from my point of view, I wasn't scoring it live at the time, but watching it, you know what I mean, I couldn't really, apart from that 5th round maybe, give or take, I couldn't really give Daniel Dubois a round. You could probably say round 1 was probably a shared round between both guys, but every other round, apart from that 5th round, I'd probably give to Oleksandr Usyk. So Daniel Dubois obviously had a mountain to climb at this point, and when he got put down the first time in the 8th, um, it was a bit contra because it was raining quite heavily. Obviously the floor in the ring was quite slippy, and every time, you know what I mean, like Usyk was in and out, you could hear his foot kind of screeching on the canvas. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, Daniel could be, you know what I mean, sitting there thinking, you know what, if the canvas wasn't that flat, I probably would have thrown a few more shots. I probably would have thrown with a bit more intent. He could have been hesitant because he could have been thinking, you know what, if I throw a shot and I miss quite wide, I'm going to get counted, I'm going to get hurt. So it probably could have put him off his game. But as I said, he got put down twice, and the second one was a good shot. It was a good jab slash cross, depending on how you want to kind of look at it. But I don't feel as if it was a big shot. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like how AJ hit Hellenius or how Wilder hits his opponents. It wasn't. It wasn't a massive punch. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, from my point of view, I don't feel as if Daniel Dubois should have waited that long before getting up. Now, yes, you guys could be thinking, "Wow, he was tired." You know what I mean? He was exhausted. He got caught loads, and he wasn't winning anyway. And on the scorecards, he was down by quite a lot, so he wasn't really going to get back into the fight. And you know what I mean? He probably had all that going in his head, and he probably got up just a little bit too late. But as I said, it wasn't a devastating shot. So from my point of view, he should have got up a lot sooner, um, and to not get, you know what I mean, counted out. And it's just a shame because this is his second loss now, and he's, you know what I mean, both losses have come in similar fashion. And also as well, when he fought last, I think it was his last fight against Kevin Lemena, and he got hurt multiple times in that fight. He took the knee on multiple occasions, but you know what I mean. The difference is in that Lemena one, you know what I mean. He kind of knew that if he would have stayed down, that would have been his career done and dusted. Do you know what I mean? But in this case, he probably thought, you know what I mean, I'm going to stay down, I'm going to live to fight another day. You know what I mean? Yes, I'm fighting against potentially the best heavyweight of this era, so he's got an opportunity to maybe come back in the future, and then maybe try and win a world title once Usyk, Tyson, AJ, all the big boys have kind of hung up their gloves, sort of thing. But anyway, it is what it is. Great win from Oleksandr Usyk's point of view. A good fight from Daniel Dubois. He did, in my opinion, better than what AJ did. He took the fight, you know what I mean, in the earlier half to Usyk, and he was catching Usyk with more shots than what pretty much AJ did. As I said, AJ had a good couple of rounds in the 24 rounds that he did share with Usyk, but he didn't really hurt him. And that body shot, you know what I mean, if it was a different referee or organisation, we could be sitting here saying that Daniel Dubois is the new champion. And you know what I mean, Daniel hurt him, and Usyk knows that he hurt him. And it wouldn't surprise me in the future if Usyk comes out and says, you know what, you know what I mean, once he's retired probably, that body shot was a legal body shot, and it did hurt me, it did catch me, and I couldn't get up. Because he couldn't get up, and his legs and his arms were gone at that point. But anyway, that's my thoughts. You guys let me know your thoughts. Let's hope now that, you know what I mean, within the next 12 months, we do get to see the undisputed fight between Usyk, if he's still the champion, and Tyson, if he still is the champion. I've got no doubt that Tyson will be the champion in the next 12 months because he's fighting nobodies. But it's just whether or not Usyk will still be the champion. Next up will potentially be Hrgovic, unless they could do some sort of deal with Tyson beforehand. But let me know your thoughts in regards to this fight. And as always, guys, bless.